Good afternoon, and what is a warm, bright and sunny day. It is Monday the 3rd of April. I've got a nice hot cup of tea. And a parcel to continue unboxing. Now, what I've been pulling out of this one is issues of White Dwarf. So, 13, 14, 16, sadly no 15, 17, and we come to 18. This is not in good condition. In fact, it's actually been, it's a bit ropey actually, I think, this one. It's sort of like there's pages been photocopied and put back in rather than the original, so it's a bit, yeah. Anyway, so this is issue 18, came out in April-May 1980, the Science Fiction and Fantasy Games and Miniatures magazine. Cost you 60p, and what it promised was Star Trek the Motion Picture miniature scenario and the Halls of Titan Thane mini module. So this promises to be an interesting, even great issue, just from the cover, just from the contents of the cover. And this was really one of the few tie-ins, media tie-ins, that White Dwarf would certainly do on the cover. And here, obviously, you've got a picture of the Enterprise that appeared in Star Trek the Motion Picture, came out in 1979. And I can remember going with my sister to see that film. That would have been in the Tivoli Theatre in Wimborne. And it was so long, it was shown in 2 parts. So, yep. Anyway, so opening up, what we've got is the adverts, the Model Workshop in Guildford. SDevian was the great thing about this back in the days. SDevian had these one-page adverts with this long list of games you think you really wanted, and then here we have an announcement. TSR Hobbies will open. The Game Wizards have arrived in the UK, directed by Tom Turnbull, who obviously was a contributor to White Dwarf through Fiend Folio and other articles. Anyway, the company will open for business on Monday, 31st of March 1980. Importers and distributors of D&D and AD&D and other fine TSR products from all leading games shops, trade inquiries, welcome. TSR comes to the UK. And then we have, are you role-playing instead of role-playing? Tales and Trolls is the answer. That would have been advert for Flying Buffalo Games, or Flying Buffalo Inc. And then we have Citadel Miniatures advert with an advert for them, essentially. So we've got a selection of got the catalogue there, and then one of the few licensed products I think they did would have been Star Trek the Motion Picture miniature figures. Now, there was no Star Trek role-playing game at this time, really. You had the sort of like the Heritage game, Models game, which came out a couple of years earlier. Really wasn't covered by it wouldn't cover that film. It would have been based entirely upon the classic 60s series. And there was, but so you could buy miniatures, but there really wasn't a game to go with it. Then we've got the editorial list of features and departments, regular as they are. And the first thing we've got is Star Trek the Motion Picture, Rules for Adventures in the Final Frontier by Tony Yates and Steve Jackson. And this is essentially, this is a set of miniatures, combat rules, using the Star Trek figures that you've bought from Citadel Miniatures. So, the main characters, Admiral Kirk, Mr. Spock, McCoy, Scotty, etc., joined by Willard Deckard and Ilya from the Star Trek the Motion Picture, alien leaders and so on. And we've got a deck plans of the Enterprise bridge, and then in here there are stats for there's a painting guide and stats for Andorians, Acturians, Betelgeusians, Deltans, Khazarites, Klingons, Kenormians, Magarites, Rigelians, Saurians, Vulcans, and so on. Painted guide for the crew, and that's it really. So that's just a couple of pages, really sort of like, you know, so you've bought your miniatures, what do you do with them? Here's the guide. Turning over the page, we've got open box, and we have review of the board game Darkover, based upon the series by book series by Marion Zimmer Bradley. Task Force games, Sword Quest fantasy game, and then Dra'k'ne, Station of Judges Guild, Traveller scenario, Traveller content for Judges Guild, never very good to be fair. And then we get on to the centrepiece of the magazine, and that's not an understatement, because we have the Halls of Tyson Thane, written by the late Albie Fiore, and this is an absolute classic. Sorry, it says a complete D&D mini module for 3 to 6 experienced players with characters of first or second level. Now, what we've got here. Oh, we've got it all. Have we got it all? Yeah, we have. Essentially, yep. So, and I'm going to have to hold this together because it's in parts. I may have to track down a better copy of White Dwarf number 18 than I already have. So you do have sort of like, you know, you have the classic situation. The player characters ride through a village and sort of stay overnight and saying, oh, it's a terrible, you know, our village is being attacked. We don't know where it's coming from. It might be coming from the halls of the that wizard, Tyson Thane. You know, and can you go out? And the player goes, oh, well, you know, that's fine. You know, they don't go, oh, sorry to hear that, we'll move on. No, we go and have a look. And what you have is the Halls of Tyson Thane. It's not a dungeon per se, it's a mansion, and it's really gloriously detailed and full of flavour. It packs a lot of adventure into this one location, all the way through to the strange end. Has a certain sort of, you know, Vancian feel to it, Lovecraftian too, slightly, and the house is slightly creepy and weird. You know, lots of guest chambers and working areas, and you know, on 2 levels, so it actually feels like a proper home, a house, a bit, you know, it's a big sort of mansion, and it really kind of feels different to, you know, going down. I'm just going to go down this dark hole. It's foreboding. Anyway, so also the news section. You know what we have coming up then. Magic Gaming has been promising their role-playing system with the Fantasy Trip for a long time now. The last has arrived, but needs explanation. In the Labyrinth is the first game Masters module, and you've got various titles being released for it. You know, also needed is Melee and Wizard, and the expanded modules Advanced Melee, Advanced Wizard, and so on. And then Tolkien's Lair is the first ready-to-play Labyrinth, also available. All those have been recently reprinted by Steve Jackson Games. So you can go and get those and find out what they're like. And actually, it's a decent little system. Then we have Treasure Chest. Treasure Chest is the, you know, it's a section of readers' contribution. So this time we have tables. So tables determine which hand you know, whether you're left or right-handed. The weather, table of non-player characters by Ian Livingstone there. Your heritage, you know, basically whether you're a slave, pauper, cavalier, gentleman, knight, landed knight, prince, which basically multiplies your starting money, and then a table of useless items. Fiend Factory, again, collection of monsters submitted by the readership. When we have this is being edited by Albie Fiore now, not Don Turnbull, because obviously Don Turnbull has moved on to pastures new. So Mandrake People, Kurel, and the Fung, and they've even got the Monster Mark ratings down. The Monster Mark ratings down there are essentially using with the Monster Mark system, which Don Turnbull had written. Magic Brush. Here we've got the second part, continuing part of the Guide to Painting Miniatures. You know, these would appear in magazines again and again, you know, at classifieds, including vacancies at games workshops. You could get your first job opportunities there. Help and so on. You know, just basically, you know, it classifies. You know, so essentially help wanted, games events, clubs, players wanted, that sort of thing. And you've got a games club listing over there. Games Liverpool advert, Games Unlimited advert. That's in Kingston. And what else we've got? Star Force, which is a miniature system or miniature series. And Dungeons and Starships, which is in Birmingham. Was for many years the premier games shop, games gallery, shop in Scotland, and then Phoenix Miniature Developments associated essentially for the Lost World of Miniatures. And these miniatures were always kind of like they were very sword and sorcery, kind of not entirely questionable taste. High fantasy adventures, yeah, no idea what became of them. And Games Workshop at the end there, just some of the titles available. And for a change, on the back cover, advert for Top Secret, where you just see her legs, and she's not sort of like, you know, the previous ones have been sort of like this Gamma World advert, which is kind of going, we're using sex to sell Gamma World, and it doesn't really work. Whereas espionage, James Bond, that sort of thing, yeah, it kind of does work. So anyway, so that's a very quite battered copy of White Dwarf issue number 18. Worth tracking down. It's got some good articles in there. I think that the Star Trek miniatures rules is kind of a curiosity. Sort of like, here are some rules for the miniatures line we've got in between the sort of like the available Star Trek role-playing games, because essentially 1980 heritage models, 1978, and then 1982, of course, you have the fantastic 1983. You sort of like, you have the fantastic Star Trek. No, 82 Star Trek role-playing game from FASA. But Halls of Titan Thane is still a great module, you know, just in the sense that it's a great environment, I think, to explore and play through. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, please do click on the like button down below. And if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a parcel containing a book or game, or in this case a magazine, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing in the Nook. Be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.